That's my favorite thing about this room.
Living and learning.
It's so amazing. And we're going. All right. Well, welcome everybody to this town hall forum. I don't know why I'm doing the introductions. I just end up talking. I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Carlston. I chair the psychology department, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Good evening. My name is Kristi Schulte, and I work in the Office of Residence Life and Housing.
And hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Browning. I am the Director of Financial Aid.
And my name is Pam Midgett, and I'm the Director of the Counseling Center.
So a lot of the questions that we're receiving is what's the best way to get in touch with the financial aid office? And right now we are, about 2/3 of our staff are remote, and there are a few of us that are still in the office. We have a dedicated staff that will answer emails very promptly. So we're encouraging all students, if you have any questions about any of your financial aid or the process or where your paperwork is at in the process, then we encourage you to email our office. And all of the counselors that are busy for the day will respond back to you very promptly. And then there's a question about scholarships. Are they still available? Yes. Our admissions office is processing scholarship applications. They've extended the deadline to July the 1st. So that's allowed students to have a little bit more of an opportunity to submit an application for some of the scholarships that are available. And also our admissions office is processing applications daily as well. So yes, that is still going on and will continue to be so through July 1.
So we have a question about how will social distancing look in the residence halls and on campus. And I can say for certain that when you come back to campus life will look and feel a little bit different. I think we're all adjusting to what our new normal will be. And I think for some, this idea of social distancing can feel counterintuitive in the residence halls, but when you think about it, we've been practicing social distancing with our families and those we've been living with for several months now, and so similar practices will occur. We're going to expect that you're talking to your roommates, your suite mates, your apartment mates about what is acceptable in your living space. We're going to be encouraging you to wash your hands, make sure that you're practicing good hygiene. You will notice that a lot of our program will be moving online. We'll be doing a lot of virtual programming. The programs and events that will happen will be smaller in size so that we can promote more social distancing. You may notice that we take a look at some of our common areas and rearrange or remove some furniture so that we have more space between areas where students may be congregating, studying, or working. But ultimately, we're working through that plan to be prepared when you return in the fall.
So now there's a question about, can I use the counseling center if I am at home? And the answer is yes, you can. You can use the counseling center if you're an enrolled student at MSU, whether you're on campus, whether you are living at home, no matter where it is that you're living. So long as you are in the state of Texas, we can provide counseling services for you. There is something that's a little bit different though. We are not seeing students in the office. We are seeing students using either the telephone or we are using a video conferencing platform. And so that might be new to you. It was certainly new to us when we began all of this. And your counselors would be at home where they're working, and you would be where you're living right now, and you all would be connecting using this video conferencing platform. And the way that you find out about that, the way that you sign up for that, is you call the counseling center. And there is a lady working in the counseling center making appointments, and she will walk you all the way through it. It's easy.
There's a question now. I'll read the question. I think you'll see why I'm laughing in a second. It says, "Is face-to-face in the fall a sure thing? Is there a chance we'll go back to online only?" I don't think that there is such a thing as a sure thing anymore. Things are changing daily, but certainly the President's message and the path that we're gearing up for is to be face-to-face in the fall. That's everybody's desire, and as long as we can do that safely, and as long as we can accommodate any of the state or federal guidelines that we're required to meet and do that in a safe manner, we'll be here in the fall. We certainly are going to do everything we can to keep all of our students safe and our faculty and staff safe, but certainly want to get back together in the fall.
And I think I can speak for everyone here. I mean, I miss our students. There's, you know, our students bring such an energy to our campus, and you know, it's a beautiful campus. Everybody knows that. We can walk around it, but I just miss our students. I miss not seeing them in the hallways. I miss not seeing them walking around campus. So, you know, we'd love for it to be where everybody could get back to campus, because we miss you guys.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note too that we're not the university isn't making any decisions without a whole lot of input. There's currently an incident management team that's meeting, that's got representatives across all of campus to kind of address the current situation. There's a committee that's being developed to look at how we're going to reintegrate and reopen in the fall and have people back on campus. That those individuals are in communication with, you know, local kind of health authorities. They're in communication with other universities, and when we do go back to face-to-face in the fall, we certainly will have a plan in place that will keep everyone safe. As for summer 2, my understanding is that the announcement has gone out that classes are going to be held online in summer 2. So the first that we'll have students all back on campus will be in the fall.
So housing options. Housing options actually remain the same as what we currently have. We're looking to house students in residence halls and apartments. In fact, the apartments are very popular right now. As of this afternoon, I think I had 4 beds available, and that was it. The rest were full. And our new students actually begin selecting their rooms within the next couple of weeks. Shameless plug, if you are a new student out watching this right now, your early action deadline is tomorrow if you want to be first in line to sign up for housing. So feel free to hop on to the housing portal, fill out your housing application, submit your advance payment, and you'll be first in line. For those of you who just aren't quite prepared yet, June 1st is our priority deadline for housing, and students who submit their application and advance payment by that time will be able to select their rooms. Anyone who applies after June 1st will be assigned by our office manually. There's a question about what is my favorite residence hall. That's like being asked to pick your favorite child. So I don't know that that's a fair question. But it is one of my favorite questions. When I'm asked this question, I often encourage folks to speak to our students, because I think what you find is students will tell you that the hall they live in is the best hall to live in. It's about meeting new people. It's about having those experiences together. It's about learning what it means to be a Mustang together. And eventually, you develop that sense of pride, because that becomes your home away from home. Summer session housing. We are receiving a lot of questions in the office about summer housing. For summer 1 housing, we are limiting housing to those students who fall into the list of exceptions that we had out there before folks left after spring break. Those include students who may not be able to return to their home country, students who are engaging in clinicals or practicums, internships, and have a need to be in Wichita Falls, students who are homeless or former foster youth, students who may have an immediate safety issue in their their home environment, or students who don't have a permanent address to go back to. So those are the students we'll be housing in summer 1. We have not finalized a decision about summer 2. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're on the pathway to welcome students back for summer 2, but a final decision hasn't been made because the COVID-19 situation evolves on a daily basis, and we think it's a little bit premature to make that decision, so we're going to wait on that. Stay tuned, watch your email, check out our website. We'll have updates as those are available.
And there's a question about how do emergency funds work for international students? And I will speak to the bit that I know about it. I know that our Student Affairs Office has a fund that is set up by donors within the community, and Matt Park is in charge of the application for that. So if there are international students who are needing assistance, then I would encourage you to go look at the Student Affairs website and find the application there.
There's a question about what is being put in place to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus for the fall. And I think that as mentioned with the incident management team and some work groups working to determine some best policies, processes, and procedures for opening, we'll have more definitive answers as we get closer to the fall. But I think generally speaking, we're looking at how do we do enhanced cleaning and disinfecting of areas. What does social distancing look like in the classroom as part of campus life and student life, and really getting out the educational components about recognizing if there are symptoms or exposure, how do we make sure that we get ahead of the case before we see community spread.
Yeah, I think each area of campus is going to have to work through a variety of different plans depending on the severity of the COVID crisis and depending on where we are at any given point in the fall. Certainly academic side, housing side, student life side, all of that's each area is going to have to develop their own plan, but in a way that can respond to the level of need at the time.
Some people have asked if there is a fee for using the counseling center, and we always tell students you do not need to bring any money when you come to the counseling center or when you have one of your video conferencing sessions or telephone sessions. So the answer to that is no.
I would just also like to reiterate that, financial aid is still being processed. So I know students are staying at home, doing their academics, and for summer financial aid, we are in the throes of awarding students their aid for summer school. So if your intention is to attend summer school, then you would want to submit your summer general application, which can be found on the financial aid forms page. If you are planning to come in the fall, we are also processing aid for the fall and spring as well. So you would have to submit your 2021 FAFSA for fall, spring. So if you haven't done that, there's still plenty of time to get this in place for the fall semester. So I would just encourage anybody out there who hasn't applied for their aid and wishes to do so, that now is the perfect time to be working on that.
There's a question that asks, what will the classroom setups look like in the fall? I can honestly say I don't know. They will look different. So when you come into your classrooms, they will be different in order to accommodate some social distancing. There's a lot of different options that universities are looking at in terms of being able to provide space for students, but we'll have to work through that as we go through this summer to figure out how we'll probably implement multiple strategies to accomplish that. There's a question I do not know the answer to. So
yeah, there's a question of what if I haven't taken the TSI? I can't speak to that. That would be something that our registrar's office or our admissions office could answer. So I would urge you to contact our admission registrar's office so that they could help you with that.
So, some students are asking if the way that we're doing our counseling now would be extended in the fall. And I guess I have sort of two answers for that. One will be we will follow the guidance of the university, and if we're still doing things that are, if other departments are still doing things that are online and using Zoom meetings and things like that, and if students are not in the in their classroom, or I guess if the online learning is extended, which it sounds like it's not going to be, but if it is, then the counseling center would follow suit. But our plan is to do exactly what the university is going to do, and we will go back to having face-to-face counseling sessions. However, the second part of my answer is that we have some students who have been doing the video counseling, and they like it a lot, and they may be a distance education student. Maybe they're living in Plano and they're taking a class online by choice, and so we would definitely extend that opportunity to that student and any student perhaps that is you know, sometimes students get the flu or they don't feel well or something like that, so there could be a student could call in, and rather than cancel their session, they could maybe do it using the video platform like we're doing now.
Absolutely. There's a question that says, will the August 1st graduation for May graduates still take place? And it's another question I don't really know the answer to. I do know that the university is reviewing this date currently, that they're making decisions about possible ways to pursue graduation. Graduation is an incredibly exciting time. There's nothing better than getting to the end of a race and celebrating that. And so I know the university will do everything they can to make that a memorable experience. And like I said, right now they're still kind of reviewing the options for that.
And I think I speak for a lot of folks on campus where when we're talking about we really miss our students, we miss all of our students, and we're hurting too for our seniors and not having that closure. We've been cheering for you. We've watched some of you as you came in as just young freshmen and have had the chance to watch you grow and mature and get ready for this next step. So congratulations to all of you, because you've definitely been on our minds.
Absolutely.
There's a question, any idea when the testing center will reopen to take HESI?
I would assume that the testing center is going to open when campus opens as well, as a part of all the normal functions of campus. So that my guess would be that would be in the fall, but that is a guess. I would certainly reach out to the testing center, to the admissions folks, to get a better answer on that one.
Yeah.
And I know we've had a number of questions about kind of mental health services. Certainly the counseling center is an incredible resource. It's one that you have some continuity, but do be aware that insurance companies in general have changed kind of their reimbursement patterns, and you can access a wide range of mental health services through private providers that are doing teletherapy where you may not have been reimbursed for that before. So certainly explore all of your options.
If you have the student insurance, they have provided something called BetterHelp, and a student with that insurance plan can log on and see a counselor that way also. And it's part of their benefits.
Absolutely.
So we have a question about rates for housing and whether or not we anticipate seeing any changes or discounts for housing. As of this time, the rates have not changed, and obviously if there are any updates, we will communicate those to students via email.
One question that we receive, as many are aware, our Mustang Guarantee program took a little bit of a change coming into the 2021 semester, or the year. And a question has come up, will our current students who are receiving the Mustang Guarantees be eligible for the new requirements as well? And the answer to that is yes. If a student is continuing at MSU and they are currently eligible for the Mustang Guarantee, those students will still have the same opportunity to come into the fall 20 semester and take advantage of the new requirements. The two biggest changes is that Mustang's Guarantee only requires you to be enrolled in 12 hours as opposed to 15. And also the income threshold for the adjusted gross income has been increased from 50 to 65,000. So for those students who were Mustang Guarantee eligible in the 1920 year and you continue to remain eligible for the 2021 year, we have actually had several students who have contacted us where their income last year was at about 45,000, and now it has exceeded 65,000. And their question was, well, have I lost out on the eligibility? And the answer is no. Because of the new rules, that threshold is now increased. So those students will continue to keep their Mustang Guarantee for the upcoming year. So that's a definite plus for our students, and I'm very excited that we were able to push that through and make that happen.
Another housing question, will I still have a roommate in the fall? The answer to that is a definitive yes if you live in any of our rooms that are semi-private. At this point, housing demand will not permit us to turn over a lot of those rooms as single rooms or private rooms. Of course, if you're in an area like McCullough-Trigg or our apartments, those are single rooms.
There's another question about TSI. I still don't know. I don't think we still know. How will we be able to do the TSI assessment if you're an incoming freshman? Again, I would just encourage you to contact our admissions office or our registrar's office, and they can certainly help you with that information. That's just something that's not in my wheelhouse, so I don't know.
Well, I would one thing in general that I would say is it's really easy to feel disconnected when you're not on campus.
Yeah.
I know I have a hard time with that, even as a faculty member, right? Feeling disconnected, and when you feel disconnected, you end up sitting with a bunch of different questions, and when you have unanswered questions, it just makes you stressed. One of the things that I would recommend that you become very familiar with is the directory on the website. Just go into that directory, find the organization you think might have the answer to a particular question. Reach out to somebody there, even if you're reaching out to the wrong person by email. They'll get you to the right person. So there's absolutely no need to sit with a bunch of unanswered questions. Certainly reach out to people by email, and you'll be able to get the information, at least the most up-to-date information that we have. So don't feel like you can't get answers to the things you want to know.
Is the food pantry still open for students still living on campus? And the answer is yes. That resource is still available. Off the top of my head, I do not know the date and the hours that it's open. But if you check the website for the Mustang's Pantry, that information will be available on Wednesdays.
It's amazing. Sometimes answers pop up and
They
not
just
just
pop up.
questions. We
It's
like that.
crazy.
We like that.
I also want to just take a minute and, much like Dr. Carlston said about emailing and finding answers, it's also okay to actually pick up the phone and have some human-to-human contact. Our team has been talking to a number of you over the course of the last several weeks, and what we're finding is that if there's nothing else that we can help with, it's to help you sort through some of the questions that you do have and help point you in a direction to get those questions answered. And sometimes just knowing that there is a real live, living, breathing person on the other end of the line is a great way to have that contact, especially when we're not here together.
Now, just to follow up on that, I've had a number of students that have tried to get in touch with me about advising, and after about one or two emails back and forth, it's clear I can't answer the question by email, and so we'll get together on the phone and kind of talk through things. So certainly reach out. I think that's the important thing to do. There's a question about whether or not the food pantry is only available for students living on campus. It's actually open to all students, so all MSU students are able to take care of that or benefit from that resource.
I'd like to address two groups of students in relation to the counseling center. Those students who have been to the counseling center during the fall of 2019, or they were attended counseling in the spring of 2020, the semester that we're in right now. So I'd like to address that group of people. You know that when you came in, we had a policy where we had group therapy, and you would do group therapy and then you would see someone individually. And then the next semester, we flip-flopped that and decided to try out something else based on what our students were telling us. And so then we were doing some individual therapy and then putting people in group therapy. And I just want you to know that if you were seen in the fall or of 2019 or the spring of 2020, all of those things that we talked to you about group versus individual, well, we're just not doing it that way anymore because this just changed everything. And so we're doing only the individual now. And so those of you who are in the middle of doing the 4 or 5 sessions of group, we're not doing the groups anymore, and you can call and make an appointment for individual. The only thing that is still being held as a group is the career counseling groups. And those of you who are involved in that, you know about that. So now I want to address the people who were not seen in the fall of 2019 or in the spring of 2020. And if you've never been to the counseling center during that time, then you probably don't know what it is I'm talking about. But you can just call and make an appointment, and you don't have to be concerned about anything that you've ever heard about whether you have to go to 4 or 5 sessions of group before you can have an individual appointment. If you've ever heard that in this last year, that's just not what we're doing anymore. So you can call and make an individual appointment. And by the same token, if you were seen last fall or this spring and you had maybe utilized the sessions that we could see you for, like we were giving everyone 5 sessions, well, we took that away too. You can come back. We are happy to continue seeing you. We know it's really stressful right now, and we just want to help. And so anyone who needs an appointment is welcome to call and make one, no matter what's already transpired.
I was telling us we're going to take a 1-minute break, and we'll be right back. think we're back now. Before we take a few more questions, we just want to review a little bit. We had some questions earlier about what the plan was for summer and what the plan is for fall. From an academic side, the plan for fall at this point is to be in class and in face-to-face class in the fall. We're certainly working to figure out what that's going to look like to make sure that people can do that safely. As for housing, I know that the housing is making determinations about summer housing for summer 2, but certainly the plan is for everybody to be back in fall. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
In terms of summer 1 housing, we will still be limited in terms of who will be coming back to campus. That'll be the list of exceptions that were present in the spring semester. If a student has left and gone home and now actually falls under one of those exceptions, you can actually apply to return for the summer 1 session. It's a little bit premature for us to give you a definitive answer on summer 2. We're going to continue to watch and see how things play out both regionally at the state level and at the national level, and make some decisions a little bit closer to summer 2 before determining what housing will look like for summer 2. But in the fall, we are looking forward to having you back. Move-in may look a little different. Be practicing some social distancing during move-in. In fact, I had a great conversation with a number of colleagues who work in housing across the state today, and move-in was a hot topic in terms of promoting social distancing as a part of that, and there were some really creative and clever ideas to make that happen, just to keep safety central to what we're doing.
And I would say if you're a student and you're planning to be here in the fall and you know there's a lot of unanswered questions about housing, I would certainly register and sign up for your housing. You know, the questions about how it's going to work and the implementation will be worked out as we get closer. You just don't want to miss the boat, right? You don't want to wait until a decision's made to register for your housing. You want to make sure that that's squared away so that you can take advantage of that. And I'd say that's probably true with your classes and your academic schedule as well. I would move forward as if everything's going to happen in the fall. You don't want to pull the trigger late and not be able to get the courses that you want or the housing that you want.
There's a question, when will students be allowed to resume sporting activities? Well, I would encourage you to contact the Department of Athletics. They're certainly going to know more about that than I know I do. But you would hope the sooner the better. I believe the question perhaps has been answered offline. So
there's a question about is registration for summer and fall currently taking place? Yes, absolutely. So you know, take advantage of that. Get on there. I know academic advising is occurring, so contact your advisor, get those holds taken off, and register for your classes. You want to, like I said, you always want to lock those in, right? So the sooner the better.
I think one of the things we were actually talking about in our office earlier this week is this whole idea of when we're social distancing and we're under shelter-in-place orders, you forget what day of the week it is, or you forget what week it is in the month or what month it is. And so for some, we know that you may have lost track of where we're at in the semester, and so this advising piece may have snuck up on you. This is a great time to reach out to your advisor, take care of that, get those advising holds lifted. You said as a benchmark.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question that asks in summer if there will be more classes added. I think that's to be determined. Our schedule, we usually try to accommodate the schedule to the demand of our students, and so you know, there's an enrollment management team that meets and tracks enrollments, and if there are needs that we have an ability to fill, then we certainly try to do that. There's a question coming up: do we get any refund for the spring semester because we didn't use all of the services? It's a great question that I'm not qualified to answer. I'm not sure really the best administrators
So
follow it.
Yeah.
I can say that housing and dining refunds were actually, we had originally communicated to students that some students would be receiving a refund, some would be receiving a credit. Taking a look at just kind of the overall impact of COVID-19 on families and finances and whatnot, all housing and dining credits were actually refunded to student accounts. So that should have actually hit your account already. And if you had an outstanding balance, that would have taken care of or been applied towards that balance, and then you would have received the refund from there. In terms of housing options for the summer, we're continuing as we would normally with summer operations in terms of where we house students in the summer. All students are housed in either Sunwatcher or Sundance, so apartment living it is for the summer semester. Students have full kitchens, and so they're assigned to those spaces.
I'll just kind of dovetail on a comment about not knowing what day it is or what month it is or week it is or kind of where we are. One of the things that I think is important during this whole kind of shelter in place and the whole pandemic that's going on is that you really take a little bit of extra time to take care of yourself. You know, even if you don't have to, get up and shower, right? Try to stay on the same sleep schedule, right? Get outside and walk. Obviously, you know, take the precautions that are necessary, but continue to be active. Netflix is really entertaining, but the more you watch Netflix, the less return on your investment you get, and the worse you end up feeling. So you want to find ways that you can stay active, that you can stay creative, that you can still stay connected. There's a comment here, I wonder if this is directed towards me, but there's a concern about lack of learning due to professors' lack of technical abilities. And I'm not going to speak for other professors, I'll speak for myself. Certainly I am not the most proficient in instructing through distance. The transition this semester was a little bit clunky for me and for my classes. Part of that is my own technical ability. Part of that is the way that you instruct and the way that you structure a course in terms of assignments, in terms of pace, and in terms of activity is very different for what you do online versus face-to-face. And so it was very difficult in some cases to transition that. Part of the reason that the institution announced that summer 2 would be online early was so that instructors would have a chance to prepare for that and not get caught off guard. I would say that we're getting up to speed. If you have concerns with faculty, certainly reach out to them. We all do email, so that would be a great place to start. There's a question now about the psychology clinic. So the psychology department, we have a master's program in clinical and counseling psychology. Right now that clinic is closed, but in the fall that will be open. It's available to all students, to staff, to faculty, and to people in the community. The fee for that is, for students there is no fee, for faculty and staff there's no fee, and for community individuals there's a very generous sliding scale fee, but we'll be up and running in the fall.
And there's a question about Mustang Guarantee, about the deadline, and when I had mentioned earlier, you know, some of the things have changed with the Mustang Guarantee program, namely the income threshold and the number of hours that the students are now required to be registered for. The one thing that did remain constant with that is the deadline date, which is May 31st. So that means that students who are applying for financial aid have to have their financial aid information to our office with a complete file no later than May 31st. We are starting some communication pieces out to our students so that so that kind of stays on your radar. But just know that any information that we have requested to be returned to the financial aid office needs to be done by May 31st. And so just while we're on that subject, I know that there were a couple of viewers who had missed part of the Mustang Guarantee conversation. So to reiterate with the Mustang Guarantee, there were a couple of significant changes to the program. One being that students are now only required to be registered for 12 hours as opposed to 15, which was the prior guidance on that. And also the income threshold has been increased from $50,000 up to $65,000. So any students who are new to MSU in the fall semester would be under those guidelines, and current students who are returning in the fall also will fall under those new guidelines as well, as long as our current students are eligible and remain eligible for that program going into the fall semester.
There's a question asking if international students go home for the summer, what would be the procedure to return in the fall? And I think that's something that the incident management team will be reviewing, and any guidelines that come about for the fall semester will be based on CDC guidelines, and will fall in line with those recommendations.
There's a question about will there be other refunds taking place? Yes, we are reviewing the emergency funds that the university received from the U.S. Department of Education. We are prepared to send out refunds starting tomorrow, as a matter of fact, so this is very timely. Also, I believe an application or an email will be sending out to the students as well to apply for some additional grant money through the Emergency Funds Program. That will go through a committee, so the decisions on who receives some of those funds will be looking at the applications that are submitted, and will go through a committee for approval.
We have a question about if the Dillard building will still be open in summer too. I have no idea. But I can tell you that if you're looking for a place to study, if you're looking for a place where you can concentrate, Legacy Commons remains open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So please come on over, use the study space, use the CLC. It's a great place where if you need a location to feel like you're in the academic mindset, we're here, we're open, we never close.
On that note, we're going to take a 1-minute break. A little ironic. Maybe. We're not closed, we're just breaking. Right?
Just breaking. No closure.
Be back in a minute.
Okay, for those of you who might have missed it before we went to break, we were talking about if you're looking for a space that's available on campus where you can come, you can study, you can feel like you're in that academic mindset, please know that the Legacy Commons is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Remember to bring your MSU ID. That will get you in the exterior doors as well as in the CLC. But we're here, we never close. Look forward to having you.
So, being from the Counseling Center, I'm interested in coping skills, and helping students with some coping skills. And what I would encourage you to do during this time where you're apart from your friends, you're apart from your faculty members, maybe you're not living here on campus for the time being, Maybe things are stressful at home, or maybe things are okay at home, but you're just not in your home, as Kristi called it earlier. She was talking about how your residence hall becomes your home. So I would encourage you to do a few things that hopefully will help each day be better. I like to think about, on the weekends when I'm off from work, how do I want to structure my day? What is it that I want to do today, so that at the end of the day or the end of the weekend, I'm going to think, yeah, that was a good weekend. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that I like to do involve getting together with other people and maybe going out to eat, going to a movie. So now I have to say, how do I want to structure my day, maybe spending much more alone time. And so I like to get up every day and shower and get dressed. I think that makes a huge difference. We see our students that we're seeing in their counseling sessions. Some of them have gotten up and they're dressed and they're motivated for the day, and then other students are really struggling to get up and get that done. And I think that it kind of tricks you a little bit if you can get up and get dressed every day. It kind of makes you think you feel better. It makes you feel more connected. It makes you just ready to go. So play that little trick on yourself every day. If you're an exercising person, I definitely don't think you should stop doing that. And if you're not an exercising person, get out and walk around the block. It's the pretty time of year, so get out and be outside. I also think it's important to call a friend every day. Somebody that you like to talk to, somebody that you all can share what you're going through, those kinds of things. Now, a lot of people like to connect on social media, so that's one way. But when you actually call somebody on the phone, there's a different kind of connection, I think, that can take place in that phone call. So I would encourage you to do that. Every Saturday, when we're not in the current period that we're in, I get together with this one particular friend who likes to do this same thing that I like to do, this hobby that we have. And so we do it together. And on Saturdays for about 2 hours late in the afternoon. And so now we can't do that. So we are doing FaceTime, and she's sitting at her house doing it and showing me what she's doing, and I'm sitting at my house doing it and showing her what it is that I'm doing. And so connect with somebody. Try to figure out how you can keep on doing what you were doing before. Some people like to cook. Experiment with something different that you haven't been doing in the past. I don't know, there's a lot of people who are saying, I've been cooking now for about 6 weeks, and I need to get on the Wellness Center website now because I've eaten a whole lot of all this food that I've cooked. So maybe you ought to do that too. And then Dr. Carlston, when you were talking about Netflix, I think that I like to set aside about 2 hours every day where I can watch television, because I like to watch TV, but I don't want to watch TV more than 2 hours a day. And so think about, how much time do I want to devote to television or social media or watching videos, and just stick to that. So in other words, just figure out how you want to structure your day, figure out what you want your plan to be. How do you want, when this whole thing is over and we're back in classes and everything's all, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it's going to be so much better. And so in the fall, what do I want to say that I did over the past bit of time that made me think it was okay? So that's one thing you can do for coping.
Yeah, and I think I really like the idea of kind of structuring your time. And if I watch my son. My son's a high school senior this year, and when he wakes up and has nothing to do all day, it's not a good day. But when he wakes up and there's something to accomplish or something to do, then that's certainly he certainly feels different, and the home feels different. and along, I'll put in an academic plug with scheduling. We are getting close to the end of the semester. Rather than spending the wee hours of the night before your finals studying, this is a great time to start. I would sit down and look at all the remaining assignments that you have, all the remaining reading that you have, and put together a schedule. One of the things that makes it really hard if you're in your own home is to figure out, how am I going to study at home? How am I going to work at home? I would certainly carve out set times of the day that you dedicate to your academics. I would set aside a particular place, even if it's the left side of the couch is where I do my academics, and the right side of my couch is where I watch my Netflix. But set aside a designated space, set up a calendar, and kind of hold yourself to that.
And then also, I think it's important, if you have this plan and you, you need to have your academic plan. I mean, that is why we're all here. But if you have this plan for how you're going to cope during the day, and it just doesn't work out, and you did spend too much time in the bed, and you didn't take a shower that day, and you did watch movies for about 8 hours, it's okay. Just tomorrow, try to do it differently.
I think, as I'm thinking about what do I want you to know now, what I want you to know looking forward, kind of to tie into this big piece of this is to remember that none of this is normal. Like, this is about as normal as the Carol Baskins debate right now. So when we're thinking about that, just recognize this is not normal. But with all of that in mind, we are so excited to welcome you back to campus. We are so excited to be together again as a campus community. And at the same time right now, I'm so proud of the fact that you're showing resiliency. This is hard. It's hard, and it's okay to just say this is hard. But you're pushing through, you're persevering. This is not the semester any of us expected. I know I did not wake up in January and say, you know what I think April's gonna bring? No, did not think that. So I'm really proud of the work that you're doing, the persistence, the resiliency, and I think that we're gonna be a stronger community when we come back together in August, and I'm really excited.
Well, and for the financial aid end of things, I think I can echo what Dr. Carlston has also said is, just stay on top of your studies, because obviously that has an impact on your financial aid eligibility further down the road. If there are students out there who are struggling, whether it's, perhaps it's some of the paperwork that we've asked to be returned, and you're having trouble gathering that together, or not real sure what we're asking for, please email us. Again, our counselors are working all day long and very prompt on their responses back to our students. And I would just say, if you haven't started the financial aid process and you're used to doing that, don't delay any further. That's something that you can take care of now. And the stressors of it not being ready in the fall would be taken away if you just, if you would start that process now. So I would encourage everyone who has been in that routine of applying for financial aid but maybe hasn't done it yet, to certainly continue, to start to do that. If you're new to financial aid, you don't really know much about it, or you just, this day and time has caused a lot of financial consternation for parents and for students, and maybe there's some new financial difficulties that you're being faced with, please contact the financial aid office and let us have a conversation with you. We start out doing email, but as Dr. Carlston said, we pick up the phone as well and talk to students. We like to have that connection with our students, not just through a computer, but individually with you guys as well, because we can glean a lot more information about what you're going through and how we can help you through those struggles. We always in financial aid hate to see students struggle with paperwork, because it's what we do all day long, so we can help push through that and get you through that hurdle, so that come fall semester, hopefully when we're all back together again, you get to focus on the academic side of things, knowing that your finances are taken care of, that we've been able to walk you through that process and get that set up for you. I guess the biggest, one of the things above my door in my office, and I read it every day because it's so true, you know, you have to rejoice in the possibilities of every new day. And every day does bring new possibilities for our students. And, you know, like I said, we all miss you very much on our campus. The energy that you bring, the liveliness of our campus, we miss that. It's still a beautiful campus. But it's lacking the one big thing that we need here, and that's our students back again. So we hope everyone is, you know, staying safe and practicing social distancing and doing what you got to do for that, so we can get you back here.
Absolutely, and again, the plan is to have everybody back on campus in the fall, but you know, be sure that we're going to do that in a way that's as safe as possible. Right now there are a number of committees that are meeting and working through kind of best practices and really trying to develop a hierarchy of responses and a variety of options for how we might be able to accomplish having our campus back to full functioning, right? Depending on the status of the virus. But one of the things that I would say too is that if you're feeling any stress, whether it's about academics, whether it's about housing, whether it's about you know, financial aid, one of the things that's important is to think about, why am I stressed? What questions do I not have, you know, answers to? Usually stress comes from things that we can't control or things that we don't understand at this point. And so really think back, what is it that I need to know? What is it that I need to be able to control? And then reach out to those individuals, because we're, you know, even though we're not physically near everyone like we used to be, we're still here. Our goal is the same, which is to provide you the support that you need to be successful.
I think it's important to know that everyone up here on the panel, and then there's about 6 other people in the room also, we all went to college to learn how to work on a college campus and work with college students. We knew we wanted to do that early on in life, and so, like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you, let's just say a history professor, if you say to your history professor, if you express just any little bit of interest in their class and the topic, they just light up, you know, they just love to talk about all that kind of stuff. And Kristi loves to talk about housing and get everybody into where they're going to live, and I love to talk with students who are struggling. So let us know if there's something that you need.
Absolutely.
Stay strong, Mustangs.
Yeah, exactly. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We appreciate your attention, your questions. Reach out to us, reach out to others as you encounter more questions.
And stay safe.
Yeah. See you this fall.
Yes.